thought we would start our video off with a poem by Maurice Sendak, or part of a poem. In January it is so nice while slipping on the sliding ice. And you know the rest, to sip hot chicken soup with rice. And you can look that up today. Now we are going to look at some of the photos that my son has sent me just to cheer us up a little bit today of the animals that he has encountered during his job. And my son's a pretty good photographer, and he has captured some nice little faces here. They amuse me a lot. Maybe too much. I don't know. Look at him. There's a cat and a skunk. And then he's very quizzingly looking at my son. He's a cutie. Double spooky. And then we're going to get to the video after these 4 cats. Hello. Happy New Year. And here we are in 2025. Let's go back in time to January 1966, 59 years ago. What was on people's minds, women's minds maybe? Back then, we have a lovely lady on the cover, and she is wearing an Irish crochet top. You could send away for patterns for several fashions that we'll see. They're all made in white, but they are apparently based on centuries-old methods. This magazine was 15 cents back then, so let's see if anything's changed going into a new year. How to lose weight without willpower, the prescription for a beautiful figure, 15 great hamburger recipes, and some of them are very interesting. A new look at knitted Afghans, magic molasses recipes, how to decorate with pictures. The little insert cookbook this month was Cabbage, and this being the beginning of the year, they have the Women's Day calendar, which you could cut out and assemble and put on a desk, or maybe your kitchen counter or kitchen table. And they have Bible passages in them, mostly, and drawings. So the first ad we see is for Armstrong Flooring, and it says the recreation room, one of the active rooms. Look at this party that these people are having here. Puffing away, smoking. This is a very complicated floor. Well, to me it is. It's two-tone. Somebody took a razor knife and just, you could make whatever pattern you wanted. But look at the cool decorations in the rec room that says barbecue. The table. This magazine is water damaged. See? It's not too wrapped up though, and there are some things in here that are just too good to toss aside. You'll see what I mean. Who's this guy? This is John Garrison, and he was from the Garrison Roman Salons. He looks very serious. This lady almost doesn't look real. It almost looks like a mannequin head. The world-famous hairdresser tells why you should use a special color-fast shampoo if you color or lighten your hair. And it's for Clairol shampoo. Very similar ad to the magazine I just did, but different. A little different. And that was not a Women's Day. It was a Good Housekeeping, I think. Here are all the things coming in the next issue. Birthday Cakes by James Beard. I wonder if I have that magazine. I probably do. They have a little Proverbs inscription here. A wise man will hear and will increase learning. Proverbs 1:5. Here's an ad for the bell system, and it's really cute. All of these drawings have a telephone, a rotary phone, in some element, these being the receivers, the people, and then the dog is the whole phone. How many roles will your telephone play today? Want to arrange an appointment? Your phone is a secretary. Did you forget a few items at the grocer's? Your phone is now an errand boy. Well, what if you're just lonely? You can phone a friend, or if you need help in an emergency, grr, it's a watchdog. Some ad for Tarnish Shield. Your silver shines longer with Tarnish Shield care. Created an invisible shield, supposedly, to resist tarnish. Here's the neighbors section. If you sent in an anecdotal story about your neighbors, or just, I think, your neighborhood in general, they would send you $10 if they would use it in the magazine. Here's one. A teenager weighs in on the Beatles' haircuts. This young man is Larry, and he was from Muncie, Indiana. Let's see what Larry has to say. Ever since the Beatles came to America, bringing the long hair fad with them, people have made quite an argument out of the whole thing. My school handbook says that all students must have haircuts that are typically American. In parentheses, no Beatles. I do not have a Beatle haircut for one reason. You know who won't let me. Let's assume he's alluding to his parents, and he is. Our parents are always telling us about their childhoods, you know, the good old days. If they treasure this era of their lives so much, then surely they must know that when we grow older, we want something to look back on and joke about and laugh at, including the Beatles. The only thing that hinders long hair today is that most of the kids you see with long hair are smoking, drinking, or trying to prove something by it. And it is getting out of hand. Oh my. Not long ago, I read an article written by another teenager. She said that she could think of a lot more things to worry about in the world than long hair and the Beatles. I find this statement holds quite a bit of truth. So he is pronouncing that he does not want a Beatle haircut at the end. Look at this poor lady. She's at the headache clinic. Doctor and the nurse. Now, what do doctors recommend most for tense and nervous headaches? She just looks like she's had it. Well, they would recommend Anacin. And I remember taking Anacin in the 70s. Probably like people take Tylenol now. We would take Anacin if we had a headache. Now, as we enter into a new year, this article asks us why we would consider keeping a diary. Here's your chance. A fresh new year, they're going to give us 6 good reasons. Number 1, a diary can be an invaluable record. To quote Oscar Wilde, memory is the diary that we carry about with us. And that's true. The second reason is it can sharpen your perceptions. Because if you're going to document something, you're probably going to examine it more closely, the details. Number 3, it can clarify your thoughts. Because most of us are guilty at times of fuzzy thinking. We may mistake emotions for thoughts. So when you finally express the idea, it's likely to remain nebulous and unformed. But when you write something on paper, it takes a different shape, doesn't it? Number 4, a diary can help ventilate your emotions. And that's true. We all have our frustrations and irritations. And the diary can be your shoulder to cry on, maybe. Number 5, a diary can help you get to know yourself. Turn the mirror inward and reflect. And number 6, just the sheer documentation, perhaps daily, of events. It's invaluable discipline, isn't it? Something to do. And if you do manage to complete the task, then of course there is the inherent satisfaction of doing that. Look how pretty this is. This might be my favorite Wrigley Spearmint Gum ad. And they always had a recipe, and they're always different. This month we have rice pudding. The gum never really has anything to do with it. It's an ad for Wrigley's gum, and they put a recipe in it. It's just the most cutest, wonderful thing ever, and I love it. This is a basic rice pudding recipe with rice and sugar and vanilla and cream. They don't use any milk. Cold boiled rice, sugar, vanilla, and whipped heavy cream. I could make this for my husband today, but the addition that is here is 16 tiny marshmallows, and they have also added maraschino cherries and nuts. Pop it in the fridge for 3 hours, and then the dish is just a napkin wrapped around a dish. It looks very pretty. Here's a little article about the Blair House, which is the president's guest house since 1942. It's a brilliant showcase of American antiques and art. Well, it should be, right? It's a historic home in the United States for people to come stay at, and it should be lovelier this winter. And here is an old-timey oil of Olay ad. Not old of Olay. They always made it look like an article. They never put a photograph of the actual product. They always have a beauty skincare consultant. And they changed it eventually, but this always gets me. They talk about using oil of Olay on your face, but don't forget your neck. Even though in the winter it may be covered up with turtlenecks or scarves, please use more of the product on your lovely neck to keep it lovely. It really makes sense. Women at the Wheel, How to Start Off Right. It's an article about ladies and driving. Few women drove cars until the first electric starter appeared in 1911. And this makes sense because before then, the hand cranking necessary to start a horseless carriage, a car, took more human muscle than women could muster. I wouldn't be able to do it. Even some muscular male arms were broken when sputtering engines backfired and the cranks reversed. How can you imagine? But that all changed once electric starters happened. And they talk about needing help when the car doesn't start and maybe joining an auto club and other little pieces of advice to prevent that. Taking care of your battery and carrying jumper cables in your car. It's an ad for Molasses feminine products with a manicured thumbnail. Pretty. A Hard Night's Day by Hollis Alpert. This highlights producer Art Stark, and this was the orchestra leader Skitch Henderson of The Tonight Show. And it is a story about what goes into the production of NBC's The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Look at the calendar written out. They talk about different stories about guests not being able to make it there because of bad weather and how they have to shift the production agenda to fit unexpected emergencies. They were sequestered in a cluster of offices on the 7th floor of the RCA building in Rockefeller Center. I love this ad. Here we have Peggy Gallagher. I don't know Peggy's whole life story, but the suggestion is that maybe she is Irish. I don't know. Maybe she's married to an Italian person and didn't take their last name. But this Italian chef is going to help Peggy make an authentic Italian meal. And he is Chef Hector Boiardi. He's going to help Mrs. Gallagher with his Chef Boyardee complete dinner. And it looks pretty good, I have to say. And that's what the packages look like. They had a lasagna dinner too. It was a complete dinner. So it's a girl's world, and it's January. It's the middle of winter. Let's have a fun dance. How are we going to switch it up and make it different from the last dance? They talk about the publicity of your dance. It's a very colorful drawing with all the pink. These young ladies look like they're just resorting to good old flyers and word of mouth. And it looks like they've got this guy sold to come to the Hootenanny Ugly Boy Contest December 29th for a New Year's dance. Setting the mood on a budget with your decorations. Try to make your surroundings work for you rather than against you. Don't go too all out with the decorations. Maybe spend your budget on the refreshments. Everyone understands how important it is to serve good food and lots of it. Look at this look. With her little freckles and her little missing tooth. Look for the seal on the peel. Boop, and wear it in good health. Chiquita bananas. This just happened to me. Who whipped your spreading problem? Craft with miracle margarine. We've all had that happen, right? You go to spread your butter or margarine, or it could be even peanut butter, and your bread breaks. Well, not with these whipped margarines. They either had regular or with corn oil. And look at the sticks of margarine are in a corn husk. I love those packages from Kraft, whichever you prefer. So for your party, they suggested intermission, maybe serve soda and submarine sandwiches, or little pizzas, or a smorgasbord. Talk about entertainment. Don't forget your chaperones. You need that. You don't want things getting out of hand for the New Year's party. And try to do something different. You don't want the dreaded word boring to come up. Now this is an ad out of Baltimore, Maryland for Shellcraft, and it is for hook rugs. And they were made of wool. We made hook rugs as kids. My mother made hook rugs. I should say, I remember me making one and my brother making one. But we would sit and all work on our hook rugs and watch Happy Days. I don't know. Mine had a cat. My brother's had a puppy. And my mom, I still have several. My mom was a rug hooking expert. So here we have a very fancy one. Christmas roses, russet, chintz, rosemary, and look at this one with a little fox. You had to send a quarter for the book of rugs. Here is For Better Gardens by Roland Brown, and I was very happy to read this because I realized my houseplants are in the doldrums as they go through every winter. A few of them have the fortune in life to live out on my deck when it's nice and hot in the summer. And of course, most of them were plucked from a tropical location and made it somehow to my Michigan home to live with me. And they like it out in the heat of summer that we inevitably get and the humidity. Well, then winter comes, and I don't go to extreme lengths to create the perfect humidity because I live in an old house. It's pretty drafty, but the heat is on, and my main concern with them this year, though, is lack of light. We get very little sunlight. It's affected my video making too, the lack of good natural light this year. I don't know if I'm just noticing it more, but I do have a plant light that I'm going to get out for them, and I'm already making a strategy of which ones to group together. But Roland discusses that. He even suggested what he did in his kitchen during a remodel was to install fluorescent lights underneath those top cabinets to put your plants on. We talk about watering things from below too. I've also found that I'm doing a few experiments moving them around. I have a lot of plants. I have at least 25 houseplants, and I had to move one for the Christmas tree, a large plant, and I'm surprised at the different life it took being just in the room next to it. It was interesting to me. Here we have Libby's orange juice. The oomph of 2 extra oranges in every can. Libby's. Here's the month's menu. 31st is my husband's birthday. The 19th is my wedding anniversary. Oh, my husband's birthday, they would have bean and bacon soup, pork chops, corn. Okay, beeten celery salad, he wouldn't want that. And he wouldn't want mincemeat turnovers. But, you know, he might eat one. He might. But the recipe of the month is Spanish-style beef stew. Doesn't that look good? That's not the stew. I'm jumping ahead. But the Spanish-style beef stew does not seem hard. 1.5 pounds of chuck. Dredge it in flour, seasoned flour. Brown that up in some fat. So you're going to add some onions, 4 onions sliced, clove of garlic, parsley, and a can of stewed tomatoes. And then boil that. Simmer for about 1.5 hours. Then you're going to add 3 cups coarsely diced peeled potatoes and cook that till tender. So, I don't really know what makes it Spanish. I guess the tomatoes. And then the flour that you're cooking the beef in is seasoned. And they're saying to add some hot pepper sauce. But you could jazz that up with your preferred spices of choice. Seems pretty simple. Look at this wonderful Kraft Miracle Whip ad. And they are advertising the Andy Williams show on Monday nights on NBC with a pretty bouquet. But what do we have here? Date at the Waldorf salad. And I want this. Cubed apples. Coated with orange juice. Then add dates, nuts, celery, and marshmallows. Add enough Miracle Whip to moisten. Serve that in a lettuce-lined bowl. Here we have a beautiful meatloaf. I'm making a sauce out of tomato paste, contadina, tomato sauce, water, onion, olives, chili powder, sugar, and salt. Sounds very good. And it looks good. So the old world tomato paste was thick but often bitter, but the new world paste is sweet but often thin. That was from, you could send away to LA for a recipe book. Here's some flowering house plants of the month. And there's wood sorrel, which I see out in the summertime on my walks. I would never have thought to bring it in for a house plant. Brazilian firecracker and a flamingo plant. Pretty. And I'll show you the ones that I do have. Asparagus fern. I do not have an asparagus fern. Maybe I will get one. Christmas begonia. I don't have, but I want. Azalea. I've never seen anybody growing one inside. Nor a begonia. I wonder how that would go. Queen's Tears. Spatty plant. I'll be able to say that. Mandanilla. Wow, look at the pretty flower it gets. A fan iris or paso plant. I guess the only one I have so far is Christmas cactus, but I have a lot of them. And I highly recommend Christmas cactuses if you, like as a first-time plant, you could. What has happened with me, I don't even remember where the first one came from. Probably my mother, because she's got some Christmas cactuses that are like bushes. So that may have been where a couple of mine came from. A friend bought me one a few years ago. My husband bought me one last year. But they get big, and then let's say you move it around. I move mine to the kitchen sink to water it. Sometimes what will happen is part of it will crack off. Well, don't despair, because put that in a little cup of water, change the water every week or something, keep an eye on it, and not too long later, roots will grow and you will have a whole new plant. You can make 1,000,000 plants out of one plant. And they're very pretty when they bloom. Very cheerful in the winter. I guess that's the only one I had. Because here are our romantic new fashions in Irish crochet. And romantic is a very good word for these. Mainly because maybe they're all in white and it invokes the thoughts of a bride. So here we have one with roses. This one's called Moon Glow, and this is Snowfall. Daisy Chain, Spindrift, and Winter Wildflowers. That is the one from the cover. Is it the same one? No, I think it's a different lady. Oh, pretty. How to decorate with pictures. We have about 4 different scenarios with how to group artwork. This is in a living room. And there are many different contrasts of scenes depicted. Still life, portraits, landscape. It's lovely. Oh, and look at this one. This is in a dining room, and here's a buffet, a side table here with these doggies. Cute. It says they're poodles. I don't know if those are poodles, but they have an arrangement of botanical prints. Isn't that lovely? Here we have a gallery hall with a bench, maybe for a guest to sit down and rest or wait for you, or put their shoes on, with some more artwork of different shapes, but it's symmetrical. It's very serene. What about this breakfast area? Look at the colorful prints. They have a steer up here with a colorful drawing of all his different cuts of meat. A lobster, a bird, apples. But what I loved about this was these little shelves. They're so cute with the little items on there. 2 stools, 2 place settings to sit and have your breakfast. Let's look at what's new in knitted Afghans. Look at the fringe on that. This would take me years. The fleur-de-lis, Northern Lights. Isn't that pretty? Olive green, magenta, vibrant orange, and peacock blue, and the Royal Standard with pom-poms as the trim. Shadows with brown and black squares and tassels. This one's Twilight Garden. Isn't that pretty? Look at the flowers. Tulips, purple tulips. That's in a stockinette stitch. And this one is called Morning Star. Look at that wallpaper with a bentwood chair. A lot of them are the stockinette stitch. I wonder if I even know how to do that. I can kind of crochet. Kind of. And you can too. There are a lot of wonderful YouTube videos on crocheting. This is a story by Eva Ibbotson. And it is The Girl Who Liked Houses. And I love the illustration. This is set in England. And here's Barney. Barney had had enough. No one, absolutely no one, was going to be psychic in his vegetable patch. Look at the young lady. Looks like they're having a disagreement. And two black kitty cats. This is a story of a world traveler, young man in his 20s, our Barney here. And he inherits a business, a real estate business in England, in a little country town, not a seaside town, not a particularly interesting town, just a regular, tranquil country town. And he is to come carry on the family business of selling the few cottages that are needing real estate agents here and there. He has to break away from his world traveling and go to a peaceful country life. His parents were very happy that he moved back to see them. We'll see how the story turns out when we flip through. Here is a highlight of Spanish furniture. And I was flipping through this the other day, looking at everything, admiring it. What I didn't realize about these furniture pieces is that later on in the magazine, there are patterns to send away for to build all of this. I was fascinated by this. Spanish furniture has the best of everything to offer in furnishing a home. Dramatic beauty, oh, I'll say, rich details, and sturdy serviceability. Look at this bench and a hutch and a chest and this large cabinet. It adds a lot of Mediterranean spirit. It's also kind of a warm country feel. We're coming towards the most fascinating recipe of the magazine, maybe. So here we have 12 hamburger recipes as we go into our new year. If you are the frequent purchaser of ground beef and you are stuck, you don't know what to do with all of it. And the first one is a good one. It's a pizza with a hamburger crust. I'm serving it with some pasta, spaghetti, and zucchini. So this is just a huge hamburger, and you're topping it with tomato sauce, mozzarella cheese, and hot Italian sausage. What do you think? What do we add here? Hamburgers with stroganoff. That looks pretty good. So they have a sour cream mushroom sauce on the side, green noodles, and broiled tomatoes. This would go over well at my house. This wouldn't, and they would eat the sauce. But that's about where it would end. So let's look into the magic of molasses. Never made anything with molasses. They have a taffy sundae sauce, molasses peach meringue. That seems a little complicated. barbecued lima beans, barbecued spare ribs with molasses, a Caribbean chiffon pie, jumbo molasses cookies, and molasses spiced fruit, peaches, pears, apricots, pineapple. Here is our cabbage little insert here. There's something really cute in there. So, cabbage is a boon to the budget-wise cook. It is true. Cabbage is pretty cheap. You get a big head of cabbage and it just seems to go on forever. You can make a lot of things out of one head of cabbage. Certain times of the year, it's one of your least expensive vegetables. And it is rich in calcium and minerals and vitamin A. So here we have your traditional corned beef and cabbage. Cabbage is always a good price in March, at least by where I live. And I always love the illustrations in these little books in Women's Day. And they cover everything. I really doubt that they're going to have a cabbage dessert, but they have soups, main dishes, casseroles. I'm sure they probably have salad. Yep, salads and dressings. Slaw, obviously with cabbage. Hot slaw deluxe. It's got sweet pickles in it. Yep, and that's where it ends. And then they have a chutney at the end. At the end here, they have a king, and it looks like a farmer. And they have a head of cabbage on a fork. And a little poem. Don't sniff at the cabbage. Don't turn up your nose. Remember, the cabbage is kin to the rose. And through more centuries than man can tell, it has served prince and peasant exceedingly well. How cute. Lose weight without willpower. Well, we can certainly try, but I guess things haven't changed much. We always say that though, right? This is the permissive diet. And it's saying to, treat yourself. You should eat what you're used to eating. Don't switch it up too much. But they talk about a couple fad diets at the time that I hadn't ever heard of. I wasn't even born this particular year, but you would think I might have heard of the Air Force diet. I hadn't. The Mayo diet. I'm assuming it might be the Mayo Clinic diet, not mayonnaise. But the best one was the drinking man's diet that they talk about. I don't know if this guy here was on it. I don't know. The drinking man's diet was written in June 1964. You can still buy the book on Amazon. It was written by a man named Robert Cameron, and it was the grandfather, they say, of the low-carb diets of today, of which there are many, right? A man or woman's childhood memories often set his food preferences for life. To deny them, psychologists warn, can cause emotional instability. I mean, that's serious, right? The lack of emotional stability caused by restricted food allowances is a major cause of withdrawal. It seems like they're kind of talking us out of going on a diet. But these are permissive diets, so they give menus. So they have a sweet tooth menu, the pleasant surprise menu. Of course, you have to have salad day, meatless menu, bread lovers menu, The Sunday splurge. It's still not much, spoiler alert. Potato menus. Let's begin with that. I think there's one that actually can. Look at all these little kids in school. And the teacher's got a puppet. So this is a frank appraisal of the foreign language program in grade school. And they talk about FLES, which is an acronym. It's an education acronym that's still used now, and it's foreign languages in elementary schools. And of course, they talk about how even in these times, the United States was lagging compared to other countries. But I did learn something in looking this up. I had never heard of this. FLES, FLES, maybe you call it. In 2017, 20% of United States elementary schools offered a foreign language, 20%. So these are fourth graders at Horace Mann Elementary School in Washington, D.C. And they're learning French with the aid of the puppet and their teacher, Jean. Now here's the prescription for a prettier figure. And we have this lovely lady with her hair tied up in a ribbon and exercise clothes that if those are tights, I would fall. But that's me. And let's see if there's anything new here. No. Sit-ups. Stick your feet under a chair and move it on up, girl. That's the bottom line on that one. Nothing's changed. The knee to nose kick. Also using a chair, but this time a kitchen chair. Bring it up, kick it back, and bring it back. Your basic leg lift. And what would you call that? Standing with your arms in front and swinging your arms back. How many times are they doing all this? So here's our prescription for a prettier figure. 4 things. And at least one of them you can do laying. So I might do that one. But how many repetitions here are you supposed to be doing? It doesn't say. However many you can handle. Let's just put it that way. And they seem benign enough. So this is what we used to do before there were gyms and before there were 1 million exercise machines to buy. In the antique section, we have painted side chairs. So let's try to remember what these chairs. That's a Sheraton chair. That's a Hitchcock style. Arrow back, kind of look like arrows. A horseshoe back. And there's another Hitchcock chair. And there's more coming. Let's look at the calendar though. The illustrations are wonderful. They were done by this man, Eric with a K, Blegvad. I wonder if he was from Sweden or a Scandinavian country. So you would assemble it. They give you instructions on how to assemble it. But there's January, a snowy scene with a passage from Mark. All things are possible to him that believeth. There's February, another snowy, pretty scene. This is from Samuel. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Thank goodness. And here's some people at a art gallery. This is from John. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward, from Hebrews. And look at these kids painting in a meadow. April. This is from Amos. Can two walk together except they be agreed? And they're at a train station. May. This is from Romans. If we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it? A kid petting the dog. They're having a gathering. June. A dog. This is from Proverbs. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son. The way that they had to construct the calendar, things get a little out of order with us looking at them in page form. Here's August, and we see the beach with towels on a line. This is from Psalms. He satisfieth the longing soul and filleth the hungry soul with goodness. We skipped to August. Let's do July. Sorry. Look at that. Summer night with a dog again and some kids playing at a pond. This is from Numbers. He whom thou blessed is blessed. September. Somebody's visiting an elderly person and her kitty cat. I didn't notice the Thessalonians. Ye yourselves are taught of God to love one another. October. Oh, look at that scene with the baby carriage and leaves. This is from Corinthians. Every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. Well, we can hope so, can't we? November. This is from Timothy. Godliness with contentment is great gain. There's a young couple. Looks like he's chaperoning her home. In December, another Corinthians. And a group of carolers. There's a lot of dogs in these pictures. Are cute. Grace be unto you and peace. There was a coming year, 1967. In case you needed to look forward on your calendar that they have provided for you. Here is some gravy that you can make with Campbell's soup. Lump-free and luscious. Hey, that's what it says. I'm just reading it. So let's make a flavorful meat gravy. And this looks like a good one. Like if I served this, I would get 2 thumbs up from my husband. He would love it. He might even cry. You can serve this on anything. They have a whole list of different meat here. So you're using either cream of mushroom, chicken, or celery, you pick. Water and 2 to 4 tablespoons of the drippings from whatever meat you cooked. There's your flavorful meat gravy. It's pretty easy. A quick onion gravy is onion soup, flour, and water. They're suggesting to serve that with liver. No, but my husband would eat that. Here are more of our 12 hamburger recipes, and there's nothing real crazy, I have to say. A Polynesian hamburger with pineapple and green pepper. A Creole hamburger, Swedish style. So they're really going through like a global hamburger adventure. Here are some Spam beautiful photos. So, we have 4 suggestions here to use your spam. Make a sandwich with tomato, onion, and cheese and broil it. Okay? You can make an appetizer out of your spam. They have skewered spam, chunks of it, with, what is it, a pepper, a pickle, a cherry tomato, an olive, mushrooms, whatever you have, and then put it in a block of cheese or a round of cheese. Slice it. Just slice some on some beans. Heat it till bubbling. This is the one I loved though. It's getting very creative. Make your spam into a loaf. You're going to have to slice it. And probably not all the way through. Dot it with cloves and stick some Dole pineapple in each sliced portion there. What are you going to do that? Bake it at 30 minutes and baste it with pineapple juice. You're calling it spam Polynesian. I guess to make anything Polynesian, you just had to add pineapples. Another craft ad. Kraft mustard. Look at that delicious sandwich. So we have regular old mustard, but they also offered a Dusseldorf style or a horseradish mustard. Oh, Hamburger's continental down here. You're making the hamburger into little round steaks. Brown it. Add asparagus on top with hollandaise sauce. And what has the lobster got to do with it? It says lobster. Shape meat into 4 round steaks. Oh, garnish those with seafood because it says lobster, crab meat, or shrimp. Here's a Femmes ad. So feminine products, but don't worry. She doesn't have a white dress on, but she has a beautiful, like mango colored gown in a white wrap. Don't worry, you have your Femmes. Now you can be free of care anytime, anywhere. And she's in the forest. I don't know why. And then sprinkled throughout here are our patterns for the Afghans. And recipes for the molasses. It's Frisky's dog food. Which is better for your dog? Products like this may contain up to 20% sugar. Is that a Gainsburger? I don't know. And I've never heard of Frisky's dog food. He seems happy, this little beagle. And this was from Carnation. Oh, never knew. More stories about the putting together the Johnny Carson show and how stressful it was. A lot of people went into putting that production together. Here's Mazola corn oil and a recipe for flaky biscuits with corn oil. Really? I mean, I guess. Sifted flour, baking powder, salt, corn oil, and milk. Flaky biscuits made with Mazola are friendly to rib-sticking beef stews. And that's what they've done. It looks pretty good. You could send away for Women's Day book of houseplants. How much was it? It was $5. Here's a little story by Monroe Leaf for children, and it was Ferdinand's Fables. This was a monthly feature in this magazine, and we've read these before. cute drawings. The squirrel will put things off. You can't do that when you're a squirrel. You have to bury a bunch of nuts. But will you remember where you buried them? I don't think that they do. And I was so hoping that my neighbors were not feeding. Well, they can do what they want, but I'm just going to be honest. We saw a rat in the garden, and my neighbor behind me does feed squirrels, and I've been very diligent with our garbage and not putting any food out. This was a few months ago. I haven't seen anything outside, but I know that my neighbor is still feeding squirrels, and that's fine. It's a free country. He can do what he wants. But I found a portion of a muffin. It looked good too, like a chocolate chip or blueberry muffin on my bathroom windowsill outside my house that one of the squirrels put. I'm just trying to make the rats in mice go away by not having food around. I understand that they're just part of life with having a garden or living next to a park like I do, where people throw garbage everywhere. But they have to live too. But that was my little story about finding that muffin. I thought it was funny. I think I'm fighting a losing battle. Here is a Cake Mate ad. This was from Hartford, Connecticut. Naked came I into the world, but baby, look at me now. And it says, have fun. And it's decorated kind of in Christmas colors. Look at all this Kodak film. Some people pay for their film, but 2 million don't. What? How? Well, they joined the United Film Club. I remember stuff like this. Doesn't it seem so complicated? Like these charts. And then figuring out where to send it to? I don't know. So you can join the film club, and they would get all the free Kodak film that they could use, but they would have to process it, right? I'm sure. We had something like that when we had a camera, but it wasn't through Kodak. They would give you the film free, but then you would pay them to process it. More of the Permissive diet. The Nibbler's menu. Yeah, but guess what you get to nibble on? Carrot sticks, banana, and turkey breast. 1 ounce cold turkey breast. And for dinner, 3 ounces of liver. No. We're just going to have to skip the Nibbler's menu, even though it sounded really good. Yes, 1 cookie, one small vanilla wafer. I don't think this is for me. The drinker's menu. I'm a teetotaler, but, let's just take a look here. A practical rule for measuring the number of calories in Scotch, bourbon, vodka, and gin is this. Proof times ounces in your drink equals calories. Therefore, 1 ounce of 86 proof whiskey contains 86 calories. Is that true? I don't know. And they talk about what the daily recommended allowances for nutrition were back then. I'm sure they're different now. Lollipops. I love that ad. Lollipops. Please buy me lollipops for Christmas. This is the end of the magazine, so we have the unmentionable ads, even though we've seen at least 2 ads for menstrual items, bunions. Learn flower arranging. The beer drinker's menu. I gotta read this. Breakfast, orange juice, wheat flakes, milk, sugar, an egg, coffee and milk. Snack, more milk. Lunch, broth with vegetables. That sounds exciting. A grilled cheese sandwich and a beer, 12 ounces of beer. All right. Another snack, you can have some cantaloupe, 2 low-calorie wafers, and a cup of milk. A lot of milk. Now for dinner, you're going to have some veal rolls, poached in broth, stuffed with vegetables, a cup of cauliflower, a cup of green beans, and another beer. And you can have a little snack later of lemon ice and a half of a chopped apricot. So I'm continuing with our real estate agency inheritance story. The young man eventually has to find a secretary to help him out, Miss Spriggs, because he's got a lot to handle in taking over the business. So Miss Spriggs comes along as a secretary, but it turns out she's quite a little salesperson. She can sell everything. So Barney, uses her ability to sell real estate. And they develop a relationship. Do you see where this is going? So there's our Mulberry Cottage, but she just can't seem to sell Mulberry Cottage. She just tears up. She can't do it. The story goes on. They're having a hard time selling this place. They fall in love. And Barney ends up buying Mulberry Cottage for him and Miss Spriggs to live in. It's a long story, but it's cute. So speaking of cute, look at these little guys. What do we have here? Snowball. Snowball's a knitter. Twinkle's just cute. Fluffy is glamorous, and Boots is handsome. So you can get these irresistible paintings reproduced in full color. We, however, will just have to imagine, because we only have black and white photo, and the purchasers of these would also have to imagine, because you would not know. It just says full color, but you wouldn't know until you got it. And they were $1 for all 4 of them, plus a dime. More chairs. That's Pennsylvania German. They're just saying that's a fancy chair. Another Pennsylvania German chair with fruits and flowers. And another fancy chair. Pack O Fun. And throw away your Christmas cards. They can help you make crafts with them. Another aeroback chair. A child's chair. Wakefield's King Crab Meat from Alaska. Here we have 2 ladies, and they're out in a city, because we see some apartment buildings with fire escapes, and one lady is hanging her laundry. She's got a clothespin in her mouth. The other lady is sitting on a stoop having a drink. And she says to the other lady, "It's a Glenmore vodka gimlet. They're all the rage with the Park Avenue crowd." Oh, well, ooh la la. This was manufactured in Louisville, Kentucky. The Glenmore vodka gimlet. It is a pre-made cocktail. They had quite a few of them. Glenmore. They had an old-fashioned, a Rob Roy, tequila margarita, gin stinger, grasshopper, whiskey sour, pink squirrel, mint julep, martini, daiquiri, brandy Alexander, and a vodka, the vodka gimlet that she's having. It's a cute little pair. And here we have a Brock girl. She was a TWA hostess, Judy Newman. She was voted the girl in the air with the most beautiful hair. And the paintings were so beautiful of those. And a Salem ad. Now, is he smoking? No, he's got a gun. They're out shooting. They're out hunting. Or maybe he was just shooting cans or something. Or I don't know what he was doing, but he's lighting her cigarette. Try something different for a change. Turn to Salem for a taste that's springtime fresh. She may be armed too. We can't see her other arm. I don't know. They're just spending a day out in the countryside. So thank you for looking at my Old Woman's Day. I hope I have the next month's issue, February. I've got a lot of these. So we shall see. Happy New Year. Thank you. Bye.